The Watership Down podcast is intended for listeners who are familiar with the plot. There will be spoilers. This episode is scripted, narrated, recorded and edited by Newell Fisher. Hello, and welcome to the Watership Down podcast episode 174, in which we'll be looking at the third 10 minutes of the first episode of the 2018 Netflix version of Watership Down. There is no borough keeping this week, so let's get straight into the main subject matter. Netflix miniseries Episode 1, Part 3. The Corvil and the Stranger. Part 3 of Episode 1, The Journey, runs from 20 minutes 30 to 28 minutes 20, and the reverse timings are 29 minutes 40 to 21 minutes 50. The equivalent chapters from the book are chapters 11 and 12, Hard Going and The Stranger in the Field. In Chapter 18 of Watership Down, the chapter that bears the name of the book in which the rabbits arrive at the foot of the down, we hear of their adventures since leaving the Warren of the Snares the previous day. One incident was an attack by rats as they rested in an isolated barn, during which Buckthorn was injured. 22 minutes into the 1978 film of Watership Down, this incident is portrayed as happening before the Warren of the Snares, and is changed from happening in a barn to a derelict church. I covered that part of the film in episode 66 of this podcast. In that episode, I mentioned that the film appears to further abandon the actual geography of the area in which Watership Down is set at that point, as there are no derelict churches in that landscape. In fact, I'll go further by saying that I don't think derelict churches are really a thing in southern England. I'll be happy to be proven wrong on this point. Although Christianity is now followed by a minority of the English and Welsh population, according to the latest census data, England is still a nation with an official state religion. In 1534, the Church of England was created under Henry VIII, and all Catholic churches in England became part of that new church. Consequently, churches from that period tend to be well maintained, even if they are now underused. In fact, the Church of England is still one of the major landowners in this country. However, the Netflix version of Watership Down now chooses to follow the convention set by the 1978 film, as our rabbit friends now approach a derelict church, apparently from that era. It is still night time, and the rain has stopped. As the rabbits reach the top of a slope, the derelict medieval church comes into view. Hawkbit says they need to find somewhere to sleep. The allele will be about soon, and it's too late to dig scrapes. Bluebell agrees. Scrapes, in case you don't know, are small temporary burrows, though they can of course develop into a full-size burrow. In the church, the camera tracks down from the almost non-existent roof to a floor littered with debris and large chunks of fallen stone. Under one of these, the rabbits are asleep, though Fivers is disturbed. He wakes up to find Bigwig looking around him. He shushes Fiver. Something is there with them. Fiver suggests it might be the Black Rabbit of Inlay, but Bigwig says there is no such thing. This goes against both their characters from the book, in which Bigwig very much believes in the Black Rabbit, while Fiver, ironically for a psychic you might say, is more of a seeker after truth. But then again, I guess that makes sense in a world in which the supernatural is definitely real, for that is the world Watership Down is set in. We see something swoop over the rabbits from above. Bigwig wakes the rest of them. He has realised what has joined them. In this version of Watership Down, it is Bigwig who seems to use Lapine instead of English the most, though all of them would of course be speaking in it. He describes what has joined them as Corvil, a reckoning of them. Corvil is the plural of corva, meaning crow. However, the most prominent collective noun for crows is a murder. Alternatively, they can be called a mob, a horde, or very strangely, a parliament. Collective nouns in English can be very weird. But I'm struggling to see where the scriptwriters got the phrase a reckoning from in relation to crows. In any case, Blackberry makes the sensible suggestion that they should run. Bigwig looks up and around him. We see his perspective as he sees a single crow perched in the frame of an old stained glass window at the nave or western end of the church. It flies down to ground level and is suddenly joined by about 10 others. They perch quietly, looking at the rabbits. Hazel says he will try to talk to them and moves forward, but Bigwig says no, forcefully. He tries anyway, saying that they understand this might be their home. The lead crow, staring at him, just tilts its head to one side, as if having no understanding. Hazel continues that they are only there because they have nowhere else to go. And all hell breaks loose. The lead crow flies at Hazel, knocking him backwards. The rabbits cower together where they slept as the rest of the crows attack. Hazel is on his back, fighting off his attacker. Bigwig takes the lead, trying to keep the rest back. In the book, when a single crow attacks Fiver and Pipkin as the group are making their way from the River Embourne to the beanfield, Adams tells us that crows aim for the eyes with their pointed beaks. A rat attack would probably have been preferable to this. And now we see these beaks being jabbed towards the rabbits' faces. Hawkbit gets his paw bitten. Bigwig yells that one of them should run to try to draw them away. Dandelion bravely volunteers. His role as storyteller may have been taken from him in this version, but he is still a fast runner. Dandelion's running works, and he is pursued through the church and outside by all the crows. The other rabbits climb onto a window ledge to watch. Then, seeing the crows are thoroughly distracted, they make their way out of the church. Meanwhile, eventually one crow catches up with Dandelion and somewhat implausibly grabs him and lifts him off the ground. Is this another idea borrowed from the 1999 TV series? I can imagine a hawk lifting an adult rabbit, but a crow? I doubt it somehow. The crow is having difficulty holding on to him, and then another one bumps into it, causing Dandelion to be dropped. He continues running through a metal fence that blocks the crow and takes refuge under a fallen tombstone. Just as the crow is harassing him, Bigwig arrives, knocking it to one side. Bigwig threatens it, calling it an Emblia corva, a stinking crow, and they fight. Bigwig gets the crow on its back, pins its beak down, and bites. There is a sound of thunder. We see the crow lying dead as the rain begins to fall. It is some time later. The rabbits are making their way along a muddy track in the rain. Bigwig says they should stop. Hazel says they should carry on. And Bigwig turns very nasty. He asks if Hazel is giving him an order, then points out all the things he, Blackberry and Dandelion have done to keep them safe. Hazel, looking crestfallen, says things will improve when they reach the down. This draws mockery from Bigwig, aimed at Fiver. He then begins digging a scrape. Two of the other rabbits join in. Hazel looks desperate and defeated. It is daytime now, and the rain has passed. Hazel looks into a puddle sadly, as he tells Fiver Bigwig was right. He isn't a leader. He isn't strong, or clever, or fast. He can't tell stories or have visions. Fiver points out he has led them this far, but Hazel says that was just luck. They could do with some more, he adds. The sky clears, and we see shots of clouds and hear birdsong. As they sit together sadly, we see a rabbit's head pop up nearby, then disappear. It pops up again. They all begin to notice. Suddenly, a large rabbit is dancing towards them on its hind legs, humming a tune. Its behaviour seems bizarre. Hazel asks who he is and what he wants. He introduces himself as Cowslip and says he doesn't want anything. Cowslip meets Bigwig's aggressive attitude with an invitation to come and live at his warren. There is plenty of food there. His attitude is light and uncaring. Cowslip excuses himself, pointing out more rain is on the way. Hawkbit says, in his amusingly over-the-top way, that they should go to this warren right away, but Fiver asks why they have had such an easy invite. He has a bad feeling about the new warren. Bluebell asks what Hazel thinks. Hawkbit says sarcastically that they know what Hazel thinks, the same as Fiver. But Hazel doesn't agree with Fiver. Or is that so Hazel doesn't agree with Fiver? He says the scrapes won't be much good in the rain, and they all need food, warmth, and sleep. He is very obviously trying to demonstrate that he doesn't always just go along with his brother. But is that leadership? Fiver has a way of getting these things right after all. As Fiver looks on, shocked, they all make their way to the new warren. Hazel feels his brother's gaze on him and bows his head a little in embarrassment, before also heading off for the new warren. Comparison with the book. This section has little bearing on the original novel, though it does follow the 1978 film in one respect. The rats in the derelict church of the 1978 film become crows in another scene that one suspects is designed to hold the attention of a Netflix audience. And so a scene from the book that was only mentioned in the past tense and is not described in detail has morphed into a scene in which a rabbit is lifted into the air by a bird outside a building that bears no relation to the actual landscape the book is set in. However, Bigwig's killing of the crow, though it does not happen in the book, is believable, as the original Bigwig would be able and willing to do this. The unpleasant confrontation between Bigwig and Hazel after they escape from the crows seems to take the place of the mutiny on the common in the chapter Hard Going, only Bigwig, rather than enforcing discipline, is the mutineer and denigrates Hazel very unpleasantly. He has already put him down over being called Hazel Ra earlier. In the novel, that put-down, which is quite rare for Bigwig, comes as they make it over the common, and is a slight sobering reminder for Hazel. Here it is replaced with a full-on attack on his character, which takes this Bigwig even further away from the Bigwig of the book. Hazel's reaction to this humiliation actually shows wisdom at first. And then Cowslip arrives, dancing straight away, unlike in the book where the dancing moves are just a kind of greeting among these strange rabbits. Without any context or explanation, his initial behaviour just marks him out as odd, almost as if he was deliberately trying to freak out his new guests on first meeting. And it is not behaviour he will repeat. Though, to be fair, this is the first film version of Watership Down that has referenced this dancing behaviour in Cowslip's warren. Hazel's deliberate ignoring of Fiver's advice not to go to the new warren in order to deflect Hawkbit's mockery is a large departure from his original character. In the book, he calmly consults his fellow rabbits as to what they should do. Fiver does say that they should not go to the new warren, but knows it is no good. This Hazel, however, is not in such a position of respect, and his behaviour seems to satisfy the need for simpler and more confrontational narratives in a modern audience. Overall then, although it is exciting, this section left my originalist hackles in a state of active readiness, and slightly dreading what this version will do with the Warren of the Snares. Next time, we enter the new warren.